Oh, absolutely. I mean, that didn't just start. I mean, it's just making it a lot worse now that, officers don't have a paycheck. But yes, to include the inflation on gas prices, I mean, you still got to have gas to go and get the food. So it's definitely, yes. So I have not heard of any here in Atlanta myself. There is reports out there that over 300 have quit somewhere across the nation, but here in Atlanta specifically, I have not heard that yet. All right, thank you all for your time. Thank you.
All right, that was some of the Atlanta TSA workers in this news conference. You see the sign there, we want a paycheck, not a rain check there. So again, along with the union leaders talking about this DHS shutdown that continues, and hearing that some of the TSA workers having to do Uber or Instacart or DoorDash just to make ends meet right now. So we'll be keeping an eye on the developments there right here on Live Now from Fox. We'll take a 2-minute break. Stay right here with us. More to come in just moments. Welcome back, everyone, to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Pace. Always great to be with you as we continue to roll on. Here's a live look at the Capitol in D.C. as severe storms will be pushing through, and there is also a warning for tornado and other damaging winds possible. Tornado warnings issued for parts of Virginia and Maryland have extended as well. The severe thunderstorms are rolling through, but the main threat window is today from 3 p.m. through 9 p.m. So that is the latest on the weather front. I want to go out right now. Mayor Bowser and other D.C. officials talking about these storm threats.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C., and I'm joined today by members of my leadership team, as well as leadership from PEPCO and WMATA, to give a briefing on today's expected extreme weather. We are, as has been in all your news reports all morning, continuing to remind D.C. residents residents to prepare for extreme weather. That is expected to move through DC this afternoon, with the most extreme weather forecast to happen between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Last night, we announced the DC Public Schools will be dismissing 2 hours earlier. Have a 2-hour early dismissal, and schools have been communicating directly with families as well. If you are at a DC public charter school or independent school, please be in touch with your school to make sure you know what dismissal plans are. I am going to ask Clint Osborne, who leads the district's Homeland Security and an emergency management agency, to give you some specifics about the forecast. But before I do that, let me remind you of some ways to be prepared. First, sign up for our real-time alerts at alert.dc.gov. We are expecting strong winds, so please secure all of your outdoor items. Bring your pets inside, make sure you've charged your devices and flashlights, and check on vulnerable neighbors and friends. During the storm, stay inside. If you need to travel, travel before the storm or wait until it's over. Never attempt to drive through flooded roads. If a tornado warning is issued, please move immediately to the lowest levels of your building and shelter in an interior room away from windows. After the storm, be careful when there's high winds, there is likelihood of downed trees and down power lines. PEPCO can say more about this, and we will hear from PEPCO shortly about how to report outages or report downed power lines. The phone number is 1-877-737-2662. Director Kirschbaum will share more about how we handle downed trees. And we want everybody, of course, to stay connected with us and with our partner organizations. But we also want to set a clear expectation that in the most significant case of weather today, if we have significant numbers of downed trees or down power lines across the city, it could take several days or longer to get back to normal. So we all are praying to the weather gods, but we are also preparing. Once the storm has passed your neighborhood, and we just, again, ask you to check on vulnerable neighbors and friends. So with that, I'm going to turn to Clint Osborne from DCHCMA, followed by WMATA General Manager Randy Clark, then DDOT Director Kirschbaum, and Amber Perry, the PEPCO Region President. So with that, Clint.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the mayor said, we have a powerful storm system bringing widespread and severe weather across the eastern United States today. The highest threat is concentrated over the interior mid-Atlantic, where we could be seeing damaging wind gusts and tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center for the National Weather Service has designated the Washington area a moderate threat or a moderate risk. This is a level 4 out of 5, with 5 being the highest risk level for severe thunderstorms, and they have flagged tornado threats. The way they explain this to us is that our current risk level is similar to that of traditional tornado alley states like Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Tennessee. And the last time we had these conditions was the 2012 derecho that caused significant damage to the district. This is a risk level that we rarely see in our area, and we will see temperatures continue to climb this afternoon and fuel this storm. The National Weather Service has already issued tornado warnings to the west and to the south of us, as well as a tornado watch for the district until 7 p.m. They can always escalate that to a more significant tornado warning if conditions become favorable. So as the mayor said, we ask that you take this storm seriously. We certainly are. This storm will be quick moving. It's going to quickly move through our area, and then it's going to be followed by a cold front. So surprisingly, after hitting 73 degrees today, temperatures are going to drop into the 20s tonight, and it's going to feel wind chills even below that. So we are likely to see a cold advisory for the District of Columbia tonight. We're going to see two bands of storms. The first band will be coming through in the 12 to 2 o'clock hour. The second, more severe storm band is expected from 4 to 6 p.m. And these storms will move rapidly. So please do not wait until the storm is overhead to take action. There are three main hazards at play: damaging winds, tornadoes, and flooding. We are looking at wind gusts of up to 80 miles an hour, as well as possible tornadoes. As the mayor said, if we do see flooding, we expect it not to be widespread, but rather in low-lying areas and areas where potentially storm drains have been clogged. But as the mayor said, please don't drive through standing water. At Mayor Bowser's direction, HCM has activated the district's Emergency Operations Center and Joint Information Center. Our first responders and emergency personnel are already positioned to respond to potential impacts. Our priorities are going to be clearing down trees, utility outages, and unplanned road closures as they affect hospitals, schools, and our other government facilities. That allows us to get as much of the community back to normal operations as we can as quickly as possible. But as the mayor said, and I want to reiterate, this will take time. Okay, so a lot of times we get the question, what do I do if a tornado watch happens? So a couple of things will happen. If we reach a tornado watch, the National Weather Service will send a wireless emergency alert. This is the alert that comes directly to your mobile phone. It causes it to buzz and make an alarm sound. A couple of things you can do. One is you can look around your surroundings, whether you're at work or whether you're at home, and find a sturdy, safe place indoors away from windows. If you get that alert, that's where you want to go. The second thing we want you to do is take a look at your phone, go into your settings, and make sure that you're prepared to receive wireless emergency alerts. We know that when a lot of heavy weather alerts come, people tend to turn those off. We want you to turn those back on for this set. The other things I want you to flag, and we'll hear from PEPCO as well, but we want people to report fallen lines and outages to PEPCO at 1-877-PEPCO-62. We want folks to report non-emergency issues like trees down and trees for removal to 311. If you experience an emergency or you see someone experiencing an emergency, please dial 911. And as the mayor said, please check on your neighbors and loved ones throughout the storm. There's still time for you to sign up for emergency alerts at alert.dc.gov and to enable your wireless emergency alerts on your mobile device. And as always, we ask that you monitor the National Weather Service Baltimore, Washington office and check out our websites, ready.dc.gov, as well as alert.dc.gov to sign up for real-time updates and follow us on social media. I'll turn it over to General Manager Randy Clark from Metro.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Randy Clark, General Manager of Metro. Mayor, thanks for having me, and thanks again for all the great collaboration between the district and Metro. So Metro is also standing up. We have a partial Emergency Operations Center activation this afternoon, mostly concerned around power, trees down, things of that nature. I want to walk through a couple things related to service, though, so the public is aware. Right now, obviously, service is running normal. We hope that will last. As the mayor said, always praying to the weather gods. With that said, we have a couple specific things related to service. On the wind point, if we have sustained wind approaching 65 miles an hour, and sustained basically from 1 minute to 10 minutes, generally sustained winds, we may hold trains at stations. So in theory, a temporary service suspension. What we really do is park trains at stations, keep them safe. We're very concerned about elevated aspects of our rail system. But as you know, our rail system makes up a very large geographical area, not just here in the district. So storm activity in Shady Grove might be significantly different than Franconia, or Ashburn could be significantly different than New Carrollton. So we are going to watch the weather very closely on that. But again, sustained winds 65 miles or above, we are likely to hold rail service at stations until safety allows us to move forward. On the bus side, we are even more concerned about kind of micro weather impacts. So if we have a tornado warning in that area, we are likely to just hold all bus service either at a station or in a very safe place. So both of those things, we want to really watch kind of minute by minute weather conditions. On the Metro Access side, we've already asked customers to reschedule trips, and we've done a lot of those. really trying to avoid as much as possible any Metro Access trips during the times that Clint mentioned. Again, very regional approach to this. We might have very distinctly in different conditions throughout the whole region where we operate. The big thing we want to point out is please follow us on social media, obviously our media partners that are in the room, and Metro Pulse for real-time information. So when it's all said and done, we're going to operate as long as we can safely. We're going to adjust service based on those conditions, but we are always going to make sure it's about the safety of our customers, our employees, and then we'll work, if there are cleanup conditions, with both our partners at PEPCO on the power side and obviously the district and any other regional partners on cleanup. Again, Mayor, thanks for having Metro part of this.
All right, D.C. officials, they're making some remarks on the wild weather day that D.C. and the surrounding areas are going to see, Virginia and Maryland as well. I mean, right now, about 70 degrees in D.C., and then tonight for a low, it's going to get down to 28 degrees. So a big swing in temperature in just a short time frame. So again, those severe thunderstorm warnings do continue and are populating right now, with the strongest to severe warnings expected around 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. All right, everyone, we'll keep an eye on all of the weather out on the East Coast as well as the Midwest and South for you right here on Live Now from Fox. We'll take another 2-minute break. We'll be back with more. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Bache. Always great to be with you as we continue to roll on. Let's go out to San Francisco now. Live event featuring the district attorney as well as Bay Area law enforcement leaders coming together to talk about guilty pleas and sentences for 4 men charged in connection to a mid-afternoon drive-by shooting back in 2023.
When law enforcement departments work together with focus, strategy, and determination. The FBI amplified coordination with the San Francisco Police Department and our other local, state, and federal partners to target violent crime across this region. Through these collaborative efforts, we are seizing illegal firearms off the streets, holding violent offenders accountable, and driving down crime in all the communities we serve. We remain united, persistent, and committed to working side by side our local law enforcement partners to protect our neighborhoods throughout this region, in addition to protect the people that call the San Francisco Bay Area their home. Thank you, and turn over back to DA Brooke Jenkins.
So now we are open to any questions that you have. So to be perfectly clear, this is actually nothing new. This goes back quite some time where we've had collaborative partnerships, very deep relationships with federal agencies, state agencies, local agencies across the Bay. We know that the crime is regional, as Chief Beer stated. Sorry about that. But you know, this is the partnership is really has been that way, especially as it relates to violent crime in the drug markets.
Are you finding a change in how these are operating? I mean, you're sort of presenting this as if there was no bridge in between. It's all one big thing. Are you finding these groups are operating differently? Have you and the chief or?
Sure.
No, absolutely. It's a great question. And in fact, that's something that we've noticed here in the last couple of years. There's a lot more cooperation within different organized gangs and groups. And that's kind of where you're starting to see the nexus. And it's spread out throughout the whole Bay Area. Just like Chief Lou said, this has become a regional problem. And it takes all of us. You know, it's no secret. The Oakland Police Department's not fully staffed. And I believe the San Francisco Police Department's underway to get staffed. So we have to leverage technology. We have to leverage those relationships with our federal partners. It's seen throughout many investigations that actually some of the criminals are using technology themselves. So with the onset of social media, the ability for them to communicate fluently and frequently throughout many different communities, they're coming together and they're partnering in many different respects for a lot of organized, I would say, criminal endeavors. So now, more than ever, given the different challenges that law enforcement has to include addressing this regional issue, I don't see how we cannot work together with our federal partners or state and county, you know, law enforcement partners in this. It's a necessity at this point.
And were these guys, did they have criminal records? Did you find them for other things too while you were looking at this?
So we do know that they're connected with other groups that are engaging in criminal activity. As far as the individuals that were charged in this case, very little criminal activity in Oakland, but they were using Oakland as a staging point to go off and commit other crimes. Like I said earlier, when we attempted to take one of the suspects into custody, he did flee and he attempted to assault some of the police officers. That was the extent of his criminal activity in Alameda County.
If I could just add to that, what we do here is bring expertise to the table. And I think that's what you have when we start bringing in Oakland Police Department, ATF, San Francisco Police Department, the FBI, other district attorneys' offices. We're bringing expertise. These criminal enterprises, they operate in a way where they're constantly evolving. They're utilizing technology. They're finding ways to continue to commit their crimes. We adapt also, and we will continue to adapt in a very iterative process and bring in the best we can to keep this Bay Area safe. And it's absolutely real, as what we talked about at the beginning, and our commitment here at the FBI, violent crime, keep this nation safe, that's a priority, and we will continue to evolve by bringing the best and the experts who have that absolute expertise to combat these violent crimes.
I just want to add that, yes, we have seen an uptick in the regional nature of these particular types of crimes like shootings, and I think much of that is linked to both affordability issues here in San Francisco, gentrification, other factors that have caused people to move outside of San Francisco into other parts of the Bay Area, but yet their criminal activity is still connected to San Francisco. And so we're seeing more retaliation and violence happen between Oakland and San Francisco, Vallejo, other areas, Antioch, and people coming into the city, and that's why we do have to have a regional strategy.
Any information on the victim, or the chief indicated he was critically injured? Any information on that? And was he targeted, and was that retaliation? Can you get into any of that?
At this time, this case was very complex in determining what the specific motive was. We do know that there had been another shooting in recent time prior to this, and so there did appear to be links to certain gang associations and activities, but that was as far as the evidence took us.
And the victim's condition now? Do we know?
He's recovered now.
Can you specify exactly how the federal agencies were helpful in this investigation, and it's basically the firearm databases that you guys, that federal agencies have that helped out?
Yeah, absolutely. I can take that for you. So tactical, technical expertise, I would summarize it that. Now, there's a lot of crossover to what local law enforcement can do. We're expanding that toolbox. That could be as far as our NIBIN checks with the ATF. It could be technical stuff that we do with our cameras, any type of use of covert informants that we utilize. But we open up the toolbox when there's violence, and especially when there's gun violence to be due. So in summary, technical and tactical enhancements to our local law enforcement. And they have that access all the time, and they know that they can call the ATF, the FBI.
Can you talk about what technology was used in apprehending these guys and what kind of technology they're using to try and get ahead of you? I mean, technology is sort of a generic term which can mean anything to anybody. Or not.
I think we'd probably like to hold.
Yeah, I think we're not going to get into specifics about technology at this point.
Last question.
Can you break down what we're looking at here?
Who wants to do it? Yeah.
Sure. Like they spoke to, at the culmination of the investigation, we hit 7 locations in the San Francisco Bay Area. These are firearms that were recovered at multiple of the locations.
And the names underneath each firearm indicates what?
Location where they were seized. So 3 of them say broiler, one says BD2 closet, one says shoebox. So those were just locations where the actual firearms were seized inside the residence.
Is it alarming when you see this kind of
for 7 locations, this is actually kind of a small number for CVRT. We're used to seeing a lot of firearm power when we conduct our search warrants.
But you did staging in Oakland, right? But the raids were in San Francisco?
Multiple locations. I believe we had 3 in San Francisco and the other 4 were outside of San Francisco. It just was the nexus that we determined all the participants, the suspects, to be associated with. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your time. Thanks, you guys.
Right. That is the update from the San Francisco District Attorney, as well as Bay Area law enforcement, talking about this 2023 drive-by shooting, the guilty pleas that were entered. Hi, everyone. Mike Page here. Thanks so much for joining us on Live Now. Coming up on a new hour in just moments, we are keeping an eye on this shot out in Pennsylvania. We will hear from the Pennsylvania Attorney General talking about a title washing scheme involving luxury vehicles. We'll have that for you soon as it does get going. In the meantime, let's go into New York City. Just a little bit ago, we had the Mayor Mamdani, and other city officials talking about safe streets and schools. Let's listen in right now on Live Now.
2,300 school zones. This encompasses every one of the 3,200 schools citywide across the 5 boroughs. This year, speed limits will be lowered at an additional 800 locations, bringing the total number of school zones with a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit to 1,300 by the end of 2026. While reducing citywide speed limits in one fell swoop would require a local legislative change to the city's administrative code, we are utilizing every tool we have through this immediate and sweeping executive action. In addition to speed limit reduction, our DOT is working to slow vehicles and improve pedestrian safety around the most dangerous locations near schools by upgrading intersection design and incorporating speed bumps so every child can get to class safely. No longer will the lives of pedestrians and children playing outside be treated as an afterthought. As we serve the people of this city, we will keep them safe by implementing the laws designed to protect them. That is the kind of city that Amy Cohen and so many others have fought for. It is the kind of city that Sammy deserved. And it is the New York City we are building for every child and family that calls it home. And before I close, I just want to say thank you again to all of the family members of New Yorkers who have been stolen from us. I know The times that we have met have often been at the intersections where those children were stolen from you. I know that you have been forced to tell the stories of the worst days in your life again and again and again in the hopes that it could open the hearts and minds of those who had the power to change these laws. And I want you to know that you have. It was because of your testimony, because of your work, because of your willingness to share that pain with so many others, that we not only voted on this legislation, but that today we are able to implement this legislation. And what you have done and what you are doing is saving the lives of children whose names you will never even learn. And it is thanks to your courage, your bravery, and your dedication to this city that so many more will be able to grow up with the childhoods that every single child deserves to have. So thank you so much to the Families for Safe, everyone who is here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Now I'd like to call up Fabiola Mendieta Cuapio of Families for Safe Streets.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fabiola Mendieta Cuapio. I'm the co-chair of Families for Safe Streets here in New York. And I'm here with moms, advocates, cousins, and brothers who lost their loved ones in the streets. But we're here today to celebrate. This is great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, former Senator, for funding. I remember those days. I just want to say that this is not about Brian. This is about people who were killed many years ago. He was born in Queens, and his life got short, very short. This is about every kid who tried to go to the park, who tried to go to the school, who tried to go to the city, to Times Square, to view the big screens. This is about every single kid. This is not just about my child. This is not about our kids. This is also about your kids, your nephews, your grandkids. And I'm here today with my son. He got to go to Albany many times since he was little. He was 4 years old. And I want to say thank you. Thank you also to Amy Cohen for have this view for my heart every single time. And I just want to say something that we say in every press conference. We're not taking no for an answer, okay? And the fight continue. Enough is enough. No more deaths. And I'm here. I want to bring someone really quick, Amy Tan, because she's from Queens, from this area, and she lost her little girl. And I know how hard she has fought for this to be a reality. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, as a fellow parent, I want to extend my gratitude to all of you. Now I'd like to call up one of the sponsors of Sammy's Law, Manhattan Borough President Brad Hoylman Siegel.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brad Hoylman Siegel, Manhattan Borough President. We are in Murray Hill, but not Murray Hill, Manhattan. Murray Hill, Queens. And it's just such an honor to be here with so many parents and advocates and siblings and young people. I'll never forget when we brought forward the law to give New York City the power to lower its own speed limit, which seems common sense. I called Sammy Cohen-Eckstein's mom, Amy, and said, what if we name this legislation after Sammy? They had worked so hard to get this bill onto the floor of both the Assembly and the Senate. And she said, that is really serendipitous that you're calling today, because it was Sammy's birthday, and I didn't even know it. So Sammy is with us today. I know Jeremy believes that. And Amy's work has developed into this incredible movement as part of Families for Safe Streets through transportation alternatives. And I'm just so thankful for their advocacy, because the mayor knows without these voices in the halls of Albany, we'd still be unable to control our own streets. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for unleashing the potential of
All right, that was from New York City officials a little bit earlier today, but since we are live now from Fox, we try to bring as many different live feeds from across the country. We do have one out of Florida right now, the Hernando Sheriff's Office giving an update right now. The sheriff speaking. Let's listen in right now and live now.
With my Vice Narcotics Unit and Sergeant Harper, who's also from the Vice Narcotics Unit. Some of you may or may not know that last Wednesday we conducted a search warrant in Hernando County on Utah Street, and we found a considerable amount of drugs in that residence. But we wanted to highlight a few things. First of all, what kind of goes on behind the scenes, what leads up to that search warrant, as well as some of the interesting things that occurred, not the least of which was an overdose death associated with this particular individual that is being worked as we speak in Pasco County. So this all started a little over a year ago when we received information that a Mr. Ryan Perez was dealing drugs. And he resides in Hernando County. He does reside on Utah Street. But the information we had is that the illegal activity wasn't necessarily occurring in Hernando County. It was either occurring via mail order drug sales on the dark web and or through some businesses in Hillsborough County. So we didn't have a lot of information. We gave it to DEA and started working kind of behind the scenes independently and a little bit with them. But again, it was more intelligence than it was anything else. But that all changed the day after Christmas in 2025, just a few months ago in Pasco County, when Pasco County Sheriff's Office responded to a death investigation. And that death investigation quickly turned into an overdose homicide investigation. The wife of the decedent gave us the information that a particular individual supplied the drugs. And in this case, it was MDMA, which is also known on the streets as ecstasy. The person she went to bed, but before that, the person claimed being very hot and was going to take a shower. And unfortunately, she woke the next morning or several hours later to find him deceased. But she did know exactly who she got the drugs from, and I'll call it supplier number 4 because we kind of go down from there in Pasco County, and DEA was working this independently of us at that time, and they got supplier number 4 to tell law enforcement about supplier number 3, who eventually told us about supplier number 2, who finally told us about Ryan Perez, who actually supplied the MDMA. Now, interestingly enough, this particular MDMA, according to lab results from DEA, was about 2.5 times the strength of MDMA that we typically find on the street, making it much more dangerous. And so my Vice Narcotics Unit and the Drug Enforcement Administration started working in earnest about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, to get enough information to do a search warrant at Mr. Perez's house. And that all culminated through some high-tech and some low-tech investigative techniques. We were able to get the probable cause to go ahead and do that search warrant. And that search warrant, as we said, the suspect residence was 10416 Utah Street in Spring Hill. The individual arrested was Mr. Perez, as we see. He had charges for trafficking in MDMA, trafficking in controlled substances, and specifically LSD, possession of psilocybin with intent to sell, which are the psychedelic mushrooms, possession of marijuana, quite a bit of marijuana, as you can see on the slide, both in plant form as well as wax and vapes and you name it. Basically, any way you can adjust THC, he certainly had it, as well as drug paraphernalia. And we're talking at least a couple pounds of, a couple of them. I think it was the mushrooms. There were at least a couple pounds of those, and obviously several pounds of marijuana, including the vapes. During the search warrant, we also arrested Dina Perez. She was found to be in possession of trafficking amount of MDMA. This is Ryan's wife. And we also arrested another individual there for possession of marijuana. I think it was felony possession of marijuana. So here's, there's Adina, her photograph and her charges. This is actually the residence, and here's more on exactly what was found in the residence. 2 pounds of MDMA, 10 counterfeit Adderall pills, about 14.5 grams of LSD. And for those of you who may be a little younger and don't know a lot about LSD, a very little bit of LSD goes a very long, long way. And it's usually, I think in this case, was put on pieces of paper, sometimes called stamps. About 2 pounds of the psychedelic mushrooms, psilocybin, in this case about 1 pound of marijuana, the plant material, and about 20 pounds of other types of marijuana. Here's some pictures. As you can see, there's some money involved, some, I believe, in the lower right there, I believe that's probably going to be our MDMA, and then of course a lot of plant material, both marijuana as well as the psilocybin mushrooms. This is shows a bag of the mushrooms, and I believe that's going to be the MDMA. I'm correct, yes. The ecstasy is going to be there on the right. Just a couple of pictures from the search warrant. And I'll let DEA talk about this in just a moment, but subsequent to our search warrant, DEA also developed probable cause and got search warrants for Hillsborough County on Nebraska and on Armenia Avenue for the hippie crib number 1 and hippie crib number 2, which are actually owned by Ryan Perez. Come to find out that a lot of what he was doing was black market purchase and sale, or sales and purchase of these drugs, going through different applications and using the dark web and using cryptocurrency. And of course, that part of the investigation is still ongoing, and it's going to be some time to go through that. But I'll go ahead and turn it over to Special Agent in Charge Escobar, and he'll talk a little bit about it from the big picture perspective of DEA on a national level, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions we can. So, Special Agent.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you for your partnerships. Thank you for all the work that we put into this. My name is, like the Sheriff said, this investigation has kind of taken on in different directions, but specifically with these, with the hippie crib at 1 and 2, DEA was able to develop probable cause to go in there, and we were able to find crypto machines. The subject himself was buying the chemicals from China, from India, from European countries, bringing it into the United States, packaging it, and distributing it from these locations. Those chemicals have all kinds of controlled substances in them. Unbeknownst to the user, they have potent synthetic opioids, cannabinoids, K2, spice, and a host of others. So when you go buy these type of vape, cartridges, you don't know exactly what you're getting. So that's some of the stuff that we got. We were able to see some firearms from these locations, and we just want to thank the partnerships from the Sheriff's Office for all that. I can't really get too much into the bigger investigations, but I do want to say that we are out there with our local partners. We are targeting these locations around our military bases, our educational facilities, because these vape shops are targeting our young men and women, and our children and our military members. So we will be out there and we will continue targeting these folks.
Thank you, Special Agent in Charge. We certainly appreciate our partnership, and I think, especially for the public to know that, you know, as sheriff's offices, we know our counties very well. We know the intricacies and the people and the players, but we don't always have the resources to go outside our county or outside the state or even sometimes outside the country to follow up on some of these things. So to say the partnership is important is a huge understatement, and we in Hernando County, at least, I can't speak for other areas throughout the country. I think most sheriffs find this to be the case in Florida, that we have a very good relationship with our federal partners, and getting this particular individual off the street and holding him accountable. As you can see in his residence alone, there was a illegal drugstore of things that were available, many of which are very, very dangerous. We see the situation in Pasco County of the overdose death, and there's also some other overdose deaths, I guess, in Pasco County that they are looking at that may or may not be related. And of course, as more information is developed, hopefully we'll be able to hold this individual or anybody else that's found to be giving these very dangerous drugs to individuals and killing them, frankly. So with that being said, do you have anything you want to add, Lieutenant? Anything I forgot?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody have any questions that I could answer?
Yes, sir. So they operated legal smoke shops for when they would be transporting drugs through, I mean, the substances through their shop.
Yeah, I guess you did find some evidence. I'll let you talk a little bit about that, but a lot of it was through the dark web as well. So it wasn't just exclusively in the shops in Tampa. It was through the dark web and dealing over that. But you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes. So a lot of the evidence that we found was through the dark web. They used cryptocurrency to purchase it. They would bring it in, and then they would repackage it and distribute it that way. So that's how we found that to be.
So also the customers are probably unaware of what they were actually buying, or did they know what they were buying?
So yeah, so that's the problem. A lot of the customers would be unaware of what they were buying. So it's dangerous to them. Correct.
Was there a way for, I don't know, people to kind of cut corners at all? I mean, this message for people who support these, you know, smoke shops. Obviously, I know people who own smoke shops don't want to hurt their business, but, you know, you message people who obviously, I don't know if these are closed down, but will shop anything similar or?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question.
I'm saying any message to people who are, obviously they're probably shut down, but plan to support smoke shops in the area and, you know, what they should be out, look out for.
Yeah, so I would say obviously be careful with what they're buying, right? If they're buying stuff in China and India, if you don't have the right material list or the whatever, if you don't know what you're buying, then what you're selling as a proprietor to folks in the community, you can't guarantee that, right? So you just have to be very careful. You have to follow the FDA guidelines, follow DEA guidelines and all that. But I would say just be very careful with the cartridges to the community, to our younger folks. That those cartridges, the things in these smoke shops, we don't know if it has opioids in them. We don't know what kind of chemicals that are being distributed in them. So I would just say be very careful with all that vape stuff.
Well, I think that's yet to be seen. Obviously, there were a lot of drugs in the house, and we're not 100% sure exactly where they were headed. Some of them were probably headed outside of Hernando County, but this individual, our information, our intelligence is that he's been doing it for quite some time. And if he has people locally that he's really comfortable with, he may be a fairly big supplier, because there were a lot of gummies and THC vapes and so forth. And not just servicemen, but any young people, as the special agent in charge said. So it is very concerning. And, you kind of brought up the thing about, putting things in our body. And it's amazing to me that so many people are so health conscious, but they'll get something mail order and ingested into their bodies, either through their nose or through their mouth, or even sometimes injecting it into their veins. And it's beyond my comprehension to understand why somebody would do that, particularly when a lot of those things may be coming from countries that aren't real friendly with the United States. So it's a scary thing. It really is. So what other?
What's the legal status of people who were arrested?
I believe that they are U.S. citizens. Yes, they are U.S. citizens.
Are they being held in the county jail?
Yeah, they've been booked, and I would assume I don't think we have the. Do you have the bond? No bond. Yeah, both of them are held on no bond.
Just for my clarification, I guess the products they were selling in the shop were legal, but the ingredients that they were using to make them more illegal, just so that when people can find something, obviously we know that they can find whatever you see on the shelf.
You want to do it? You talking about the smoke shops? I would guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some of the products that, because we did some purchases of stuff undercover, I would say some of the stuff was legal, but other products that we purchased were not legal. They were altering the substance and putting other things into it, which were making it illegal. So
Basically, the message you buy, you don't know what you're buying.
that's exactly right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Couldn't the military make these places off limits? When I was in the
You'd have to ask the military on that. That's. Of course, the problem with that with young people, if you tell them it's off limits, it makes it that much more exciting to go there. So I don't know how effective that would be. That would be up to our military. But again, hopefully they do some education with our young people, particularly the ones in the military. Much like anything else, that you have young people that are away from home and maybe a little bit homesick, and they tend to do things they might not otherwise do. Hopefully their commanding officers are educating them that they need to make wise decisions. But also having been their age once and having a lot of friends their age at one time, I know that that may fall on deaf ears. I don't know. So, but any other questions? All right, well, we always appreciate our media partners coming and covering this. I know it's a little bit of a drive for many of you, and we appreciate that. And as I said, we certainly appreciate our partnership with the DEA and our other federal partners, because they have really worked hard. My people were telling me how hard they worked on this particular case to bring it to conclusion from Christmas until now, and get somebody who's responsible for bringing this poison into the country is a monumental task. But I also have to give a lot of credit to my Vice Narcotics Unit, because a couple of their people, their supervisors at DEA, were specifically complimenting my Vice Narcotics Unit, the size of it, which is relatively small, and what they accomplished compared to even agencies much, much bigger than us. So I certainly appreciate the work, and I'd like to have more of them up here for obvious reasons. They want to stay behind the scenes for our undercover work, but I certainly want to give the credit to them, because they did a tremendous amount of work on this particular case. As always, thank you all for your support. We appreciate it.
That was the Hernando County, Florida update regarding a major drug bust that happened, and officials giving the latest update right here on Live Now from Fox. We'll take a 2-minute break. We are keeping an eye on the wild weather out in D.C. as severe storms continuing to push through. Many severe storm alerts continuing past the afternoon into the early evening, and they're going to get to a high of around 68, 70 degrees and a low today of about 28 degrees. So a big drop coming out in the D.C. area. We'll take a 2-minute break and be back with more on Live Now. Back to Live Down from Fox, everyone. I'm your host, Mike Page. Great to have you with us on this Monday afternoon, bringing you live events from all over the country. Let's go out live right now to Houston. NASA update right now is NASA astronauts are gearing up to conduct a pair of spacewalks starting on Wednesday outside the International Space Station to prepare for the installation of 2 rollout solar arrays. So let's listen in right now to officials at NASA give us this preview.
Came out of the our investigation team, and we're going to fly that flight when we're ready to go fly it. So.
Thank you. We do have another question on the phone bridge. This is from Bill Harwood with CBS News.
Hey, Bill. Just following up on Will Robinson-Smith's question, and I'm trying to think of a way to answer this that you'll be comfortable answering. Regardless of what happens in legislation or political down the road, regardless of that, I remember talking to Mike Suffredini many years ago about certifying the station to get it to 2030 and all the things that had to be done to verify the vehicle would be good for that. Will some sort of analysis be required if you get direction to extend the life of the station? Anything you can tell me about that? Thanks.
Oh yeah. Now we definitely have to do analytical work to go extend the station. There are a lot of factors that play into that. We look at one of the major life contributors to the station is actually just the orbital cycling of the thermal loads on the structure. So as you can imagine, as you work a metal back and forth in a structure, it fatigues over time, right? And so we've designed the station to handle all those thermal loads, but it does have a finite life at some point in time. Now, where does that end up being? We do analysis. We actually have analysis that goes and looks at the extension, and we use also we're informed by analysis that we do of the events that we've seen so far, and because we try to be conservative in all the things that we do in our look forward so that we're not caught off guard by something. And then when things go better, or we use less load for events, we don't have the worst case docking scenario or the worst case maneuver scenario, then we get to take advantage of that. And so we have 2 programs that kind of run in parallel with that from an analysis standpoint. So yes, it does take us analysis to go look beyond 2030, and we have the means to go do that.
Great. We are getting a couple of questions on social media. As a reminder, you can submit yours using the hashtag AskNASA. This first one comes from Copacetic on Instagram, who wants to know, how long does it take to plan a spacewalk, and what factors do you consider during planning?
You want to take it?
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, I will take that question, and then I will also pass on to Ronak, who can add to it. How long does it take to plan a spacewalk? I think that a few things that we take into consideration. One of them is we go ahead and dry run the activity itself on the NBL, which is one of our pools that we have nearby, where we have the space station submerged as a mock-up itself. We go through all the execution of all the steps of that activity to make sure that we have not only done it effectively, but also efficiently, given the fact that we're going to have the crew members outside. In addition to that, there's a lot of preparation that we take to make sure that the procedures are correctly done. Plan A, Plan B, the creep sheets, which is what we call it when we go into any of the troubleshootings that we need to do, which ones are the areas that we might be concerned of, so we can also write plans for that and be ready for the nominal case, and then also be ready for the unnominal cases as well. And also, in addition to that, we talk to the crew leading into the EVA. It's about 2 weeks or so that we start the preparation with them on board. The preparation on the ground starts earlier than that. But on board, we start the preparation of their suits, making sure everything is on as we expected. We understand if there's anything that we need to work on the suit or adjust. As you can imagine, as the humans rotate with the same suits, we need to adjust the suits for the new humans that are getting in. And then also do all the crew conferences to ensure that their questions and our questions are all lined up so we can go out the door and do it in the time that we have allocated. Ronak, what else would you like to add to it?
Yeah, no, I think that was a great answer. I think it's also worth just noting that every EVA is different. There's some tests that we know are going to exist in sometime in the future, things like the mod kits that we've done before. We've done 6.5 of them, and every single time we've had a fun and unique challenge where we get into the crib sheet and start to do some troubleshooting and let the ops team kind of earn their keep that day. Then there's EVAs like we did a few years ago with AMS, which is very development heavy. That takes years of time to just develop what we're going to do, build new tools. So the timelines of all of those are really flexible and are driven by what objectives we're trying to accomplish outside.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it, because not all EVAs are created equal in terms of what it takes to go plan one and what it takes to go execute one. We've done a lot of work ahead of time on what we call the contingency EVAs that we have planned for the big ones that we have to go do. If we have a major failure outside of ISS and we have to get out the door quickly to go fix that, we can get out the door very quickly to go resolve one of those. But when you get into a new task, it just depends on how complicated it is. It took us a long time to figure out how to go do these mod kits the first time through. Probably on the order of a year to a year and a half to go figure that out. Because again, you were in the middle of the design work at the same time, and the build and everything that goes along with it. Other tasks where it's an ORU, an orbital replacement unit that we know how to replace, we built it to go do that. It can be a shorter planning time, but we still have to go look at all the tasks within an EVA, and it just takes some time to build that choreography, practice it, build the procedures, make sure that we're all in a good spot for all of the different what-ifs that could happen during a spacewalk. So the ops team does a great job of adapting to the program's priorities and fitting really within the timeline that we give them based on the urgency of the task.
Thank you. And as a reminder, if you are on the phone bridge and would like to submit a question, please press *1. We do have another social media question from Al on Instagram, who wants to know, how have spacewalk operations changed throughout the years?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'll start and we'll pass it down the horn. I think one of the biggest things that has changed is actually how we prepare for spacewalks. So one of the big things that we are looking to mitigate when we go outside for a spacewalk is decompression sickness, and the means in which we do to prepare the crew to not get into those circumstances. So over the years, we've gone through very many different permutations of a pre-breathe protocol, where we're trying to eliminate bubbles of nitrogen in the blood to really preclude getting into those conditions. I think that's one of the places I'd say for sure that we've had learning and improvement over time. I think the tools and how we do spacewalks have really been changed and innovated by the unique and new objectives that we given outside, where there's sometimes where we've, like Bill mentioned, in some of these critical EVA situations where we're opening up new toothbrushes and 4-gauge wire to clean out bolt stanchions, because this really was our only option to put all the tools on the table and create something over the course of a weekend to get a major power bus back up. So I think a lot of our change has been driven by innovation and need.
Yeah, and I will add to that as well that some of the changes are also coming from the suits themselves. And what I mean with that is we've been using the suits, this specific generation of the suits, for a while. And so what we need to do on the ground is be more agile at understanding what are the different ways that the suit can have more information, more data, different ways that they are behaving. And so now is the adjustment of the creep sheets or the cuff check, meaning how do we respond to a suit issue as new things are coming in. I think that this is something that's expected. It also affects the task, for example, right? When we talked about contingency EVAs earlier today, or earlier with Bill on the prior question, is the fact that the contingency EVA tasks are things that we need to think about as the space station is aging. So it's an interesting question, because you think about, yes, the suits and the station is something that we understand really well today, but as it ages, then we need to be very agile on the operations team to be able to respond. And then even as we are creating or dry running or doing these tasks, as we're building on the procedures, is recognizing that things can change any moment in a way that we didn't expect it, and we need to respond. In our EVA, for example, in my particular 2 Alpha EVA, half of the mod kit is already assembled outside. The other half is what we're going to go do, as I showed you guys earlier. It's understood that when we go out there, the structure is already outside, half of it is not. So will we experience challenges with the bolts? That's what we get ready for, right? And so it's the same thing for any of the other tasks.
Yeah, I think taking a broader look at what's changed over time. So if you look back at station assembly over the course with the space shuttle program and building up the station, What we used to do was we had a plan for a set of EVAs that we were going to do on that mission. That particular crew trained for exactly those tasks, and they did them over and over again in the pool. Today, we don't have that luxury, right? We have a lot of our training. They do get the critical contingency EVAs, that each crew gets a look at those. But most of it is task-based, and then we do a lot of onboard training for the crew for the specifics of what they're going to go do outside. There are cases where a crew can experience something in the NBL here. There are a lot of cases where they don't, and it's just a skill-based thing that we work with the crews on and really build them up to do any of the tasks that we need to do outside, and then we do the training on orbit. So there's less of the practice this specific thing in the NBL over and over again, and more of I know how to do these things, and it applies to all of these different possible options outside of ISS.
Absolutely. And it does look like that is all the questions that have been submitted today. So thank you to our briefers for taking time out of their very busy space station operations schedule to participate today. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. We do hope that you will join us for coverage of the first spacewalk on Wednesday, which will begin at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. So that will do it for us today. Thanks again.
Right, NASA wrapping up their news conference preview for All Eyes that will be starting on Wednesday for the one of two major spacewalks. All right, everyone, you are watching live now from Fox. We'll take another 2-minute break and be back with more on this Monday afternoon edition. All right, everyone, we are back here for you on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page, taking you now out to Pennsylvania. Just a little bit ago, the Attorney General, as well as other state officials, coming together to talk about a major takedown of a Philadelphia-based multi-million-dollar title washing scheme involving stolen luxury vehicles. Let's listen in.
Thank you, everyone, for being here with us today. I'm Dave Sunday, the Attorney General. Today, we are announcing criminal charges against an individual who was entrusted to assist one of our state agencies, PennDOT, and use that position to orchestrate a sophisticated title washing scheme that fueled criminal activity here in the greater Philadelphia region and beyond. The impact from this criminal organization was much more than falsified paperwork. This conduct, title washing, is oftentimes directly connected to drug trafficking and violent crime. Our investigation, titled Operation Hot Wheels, involves a third-party vendor authorized by PennDOT to issue vehicle titles here in the Commonwealth. That individual, 40-year-old Adam Richardson of North Philadelphia, abused that authorization to line his own pockets and advance sales of stolen vehicles valued at nearly $4 million. With me today are Captain James Reinard from the Pennsylvania State Police. The Pennsylvania State Police were integral partners in uncovering and taking down this criminal organization. And before we move on, I'd like to take a moment to reflect and provide my condolences to the Pennsylvania State Police, to the family, friends, and colleagues, all of Corporal Tim O'Connor, who unfortunately lost his life in the line of duty. We also here have members of the Office of Attorney General's Insurance Fraud Section. Their expertise and work was absolutely critical in helping us bring this case to a charging point. I want to thank all of them for being here. And I just want to take a moment and say that, you know, I get to do the press conference, but the reality is these cases are the result of a tremendous amount of hard work by people that are behind me and other people who aren't even here today. Their hard work and dedication is why we're able to make cases like this and bring people to justice, and I want to thank them for their hard work, their dedication, and everything they do every single day. So in a moment, I will outline the charges and I will detail the criminal conduct involved in what investigators uncovered as a calculated operation designed to benefit criminals and undermine our vehicle titling system here in Pennsylvania. It's important that we recognize what title washing is and not underestimate its effect in the criminal landscape. And we have experts here that can go into those specifics. What should be most concerning about this conduct to individuals and families in our communities is that title washing enables criminals to move in and out of communities without being detected by law enforcement. There are still ongoing matters in this case that we are unable to discuss today because it is an ongoing investigation, and that prevents me from speaking specifically about the vehicles involved. But generally speaking, law enforcement often finds vehicles and washed titles that were used by drug traffickers and others during the commission of violence. This is more than fraudulent paperwork to cut corners in the vehicle registration process. This is about criminals being provided with tools to more effectively commit the crimes that they are committing. While this operation was based in Philadelphia and Bucks counties, the impact extended far beyond those borders, affecting communities across Pennsylvania and other states. I will now get into how this collaboration between my office's insurance fraud section and the Pennsylvania State Police led to this takedown, and how this criminal conduct posed a serious threat to consumers and other community members. So this investigation began when the Pennsylvania State Police identified vehicles and discovered that they had been titled by Richardson. And these vehicles were all stolen. So this is through investigation into stolen vehicles, and they discovered that those stolen vehicles were all titled by Richardson. From there, the Pennsylvania State Police partnered with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation to launch a broader investigation into these matters. My office was brought in to help and advance the case to the charging point that we're at today. I also want to recognize the assistance that we received from the Department of State to help in this investigation and to put us in a position where we were able to achieve the result that we have at this point. Vehicle-related crimes have evolved significantly over the recent years. We have seen that evolution in title washing processes. The title washing in 65 instances that we identified worked as follows. Luxury or high-value vehicles were stolen, typically in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and brought to defendant Richardson, who was known as the tag guy. Richardson was paid a sum to provide falsified documentation to PennDOT, essentially requesting Pennsylvania titles for vehicles titled in another state. The paperwork showing the source of these 65 vehicles was falsified, as were attached insurance forms as well. From there, the stolen vehicle with its clean title was resold, either to unsuspecting buyers on Facebook Marketplace or to individuals who knew the vehicles were stolen and retagged. As I mentioned previously, there are many still ongoing elements of this investigation, including investigations into the actual vehicle thefts themselves that we cannot go into at this time due to the fact that it is an ongoing investigation. So to recap, the business at the center of this case, Richardson Family Enterprises, LLC, was owned and operated by an authorized issuing agent for PennDOT, Adam Richardson. Richardson is charged with a variety of offenses, including corrupt organizations, dealing in proceeds of unlawful activities, title washing, forgery, deceptive business practices, and other related charges. On Friday morning, Richardson was taken into custody and arraigned. According to our investigation, he abused his authority to title 65 stolen vehicles and provided fraudulent documentation to 49 different individuals. The stolen vehicles connected to this scheme have an estimated total value of more than $3.8 million. The board here shows some of the most valuable of the vehicles involved. There was a $250,000 Ferrari, multiple six-figure Mercedes-Benz, high-end BMWs, and Cadillacs. The full list of vehicles and other details are in charging documents, which are available to you. By fraudulently issuing titles vehicles into legitimate property, creating a lucrative source of income for himself and an avenue for criminals to move around in clean, what they refer to as clean vehicles.